Peace, 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 peace. It must be Saturn Day because we here with Nick and Roo with the UnRead Book Review. And I don't know about you, Nick, but I'm feeling great. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling a little bit like great. It's not raining today, man. I'm over the moon.
I know that's right. No, that is
But
right.
with this moon coming, you know some more rain coming. But I'll take what I got for right now. You know what I'm saying? Much like our today's episode is a surprise me, the weather is always a surprise me up here.
Yes, it
So
is.
I like it like that. But hey, everybody, welcome to another book review, UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo on a Saturn Day. We are excited to be here with you today. Today is one of our surprise me weeks, which means I don't know what Nick is bringing. He doesn't know what I'm bringing. We are here to surprise each other and you and share with you the books that we like to bring this particular week for this beautiful, beautiful day. Listen, I tell you, summertime, I remember looking forward to that so much when I was a young one because it was like all my own free time. I could do whatever I want. I could spend all day just, wandering in my imagination and enjoying myself. You know what I mean? Versus the strict, restrictions of school and all the responsibilities you have during the school year. So I hope that all the children that have just gotten out of school are enjoying themselves and maybe even tap in because guess what? We got some young author writers coming up around sometime soon. So listen, tap in if you're a writer, if you're a creative, you've written a book, because some of our young people have written books. If you've written a book, hey, let us know. You come on and share with us and get your work out there. And that goes for our other authors as well. If you have a book out or you're writing a book or you like to talk about an unread book of your own, join us. We love it. We love it. We love it. But like I said, I'm doing great, Nick. How are you doing this week?
Oh, I'm I'm just as wonderful. I'm great as well. I'm great as well. Just to echo the sentiments of it being summertime, of it being warmer, of school being out. Yeah, it's a great feeling to finally get some rest because May and especially June were have been some busy months. So it feels great to finally have things slow down a bit, so I can get some much needed rest and relaxation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And for those who don't know, if it's your first time joining us, Nick is actually a professor, a teacher. He works with our young ones. And so he
Yes,
knows that
indeed.
grind, that last couple of weeks of getting the children to stay in tune and in line before they go running out for the summer. So thank you
That's
for
right.
your service, Nick. You
Oh,
educate our young ones. We
absolutely.
appreciate you. And again, for all our young ones, you're more than welcome to join us on this page. Follow Nick over on Instagram at Mr. Westbrooks. You follow us over on Instagram at Mawulisatemple 1. We are always looking forward to collaborating and working with others, especially our young children. We love you. We love you. We love you. So, Nick, this is a surprise me week. So, I have
Hmm.
no idea what you're going to bring, but I know it's going to be awesome. So, I mean, I don't know. Dare I say you go first? Should I don't even know if I could follow you up, because sometimes, you do things. And for those who do follow us, y'all know Nick brings some books. So for the new folks and for the old folks, Nick can bring those books on Surprise Me Week. So I'm very excited to see
Yes,
what
it
you have
does.
going on this week, Nick.
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess it's on me then. So this may be a book that you might have seen, but I haven't brought it out in a while. So maybe you might not remember it. Maybe you might remember it. You might not. But it's a book that was gifted to me back in 2022, the end of 2022. Shout out to Ro. Thank you for gifting me this book that I'm getting ready to offer to the unread audience. And it's a book that I have read, but it's a book that I definitely would like to revisit, not only for myself, but just in conversations that I have with other folks, because this topic comes up a lot in conversation. You know, regardless of your background and who you are, this is something that's universal that many of us can relate to. And I also want to give you a plug for book shopping too, which, if you're familiar with this place, you know that this place has some good books. But if you're not familiar and you don't go into this place, it can be an unknown or hidden gem for you. So the book that I'm getting ready to share, before I show you the book and reveal it to you, Five Below, everybody. Five Below has some great book selections there for only $5. I don't know. Well, I don't know about 2025. What's going on with the economy? If everything is still $5 and below at Five Below, but you can get some. You can find some pretty good books from Five Below for $5. And the topic that I was alluding to, that is universal, that we all can relate to, is the topic of dreams. We've either dreamt before, or where we talked about dreams, and dreams that we had, crazy dreams, funny dreams, weird dreams, scary dreams. I think most people have had dreams at some point in their life. And whether you remember your dreams or not, that's a different conversation, but everyone can relate to having had dreams. So this book, my offering for this Surprise Me episode 29 of UnRead, is called The Alchemy of Your Dreams.
Wow.
A modern guide to the ancient art of lucid dreaming and interpretation, by Athena Laz. I'm saying her last name correctly. The Alchemy of Your Dreams. Let me put that on the banner. Put that up on my banner right there. And I read this book close to the time that I got it, maybe around probably in 2023. I read it. And like I said, it was gifted to me. So I'm curious about dreams, but I probably wouldn't have read a book about dreams that soon. It's probably a topic that I would have came around to later on at some point. But since this book was given to me, I decided to read it. The time that I read it, the Spirit just spoke to me to read this book. And as I shared in previous episodes, I make a conscious effort and decision to read books of a variety of genres and topics and things of that nature. Hey, okay, so we got the goddess Rael in the building, as well as the sister Monica in the building as well. So shout out to them.
Peace, shout out to the sisters. Peace, queens.
Yeah. Shout out to them.
Tapped in. I saw Pronoia in there. I see you.
Yeah. Shout out to Pronoia and the whole Star Seed family out there.
Yes.
Yep. So the alchemy of your dreams. So it says roughly 1/3 of our lives are spent sleeping. We know that sleep is vital for rest and rejuvenation, but what if this time could be used for something more? What if our dreams really are telling us something? Psychologist and dream expert Athena Laz has dedicated her career to uncovering the wisdom of our dreams. Packed with exercises and step-by-step instructions, The Alchemy of Your Dreams teaches readers how to interpret their dreams in order to achieve more in their waking lives. From improved mental well-being to enhanced spirituality, this groundbreaking book provides a roadmap to decoding your dreams, to uncover their innate guidance, learning the ancient art of lucid dreaming, rekindling connection to your unconscious and subconscious mind through your dreams, understanding the specific dream figures and symbols that appear in your dreams, exploring the world of consciousness and gaining clarity on who you really are, and unleashing creativity and overcoming past pain for greater well-being. For anyone who has ever felt like their dreams have true import and meaning, this book provides the exact tools needed to unravel their symbolism and harness their power to transform your life.
Wow.
Yep. Yes, yes. And this book was published in 2021. So it's a fairly new book. It has 12 chapters in it. It's a little over 200 pages. And just to discuss some of the key takeaways and concepts and information that stood out to me from this book was, as mentioned on the back of the book, there's practical exercises in there. So the book discusses dreams and what dreams might mean. There's some examples of symbolism in this book. Another aspect of this book that really stood out to me was the connection to the dream life, the sleep life, and the waking life. This author argues that your dream life is a reflection of your waking life. It may not be literal, it may be symbolic, but there is some type of connection between the dream life and the waking life. And I'll tell you about one of my experiences with dreams and how I saw a dream manifest in my waking life. But like I mentioned, she includes practical exercises in here. She also discusses how to, I don't know if I want to say manipulate or control is the right words, but yeah, I would say manipulate your dreams by setting intentions before you go to sleep, intentions on what you want to dream about. By doing that, you have some control over what you decide to dream about. And that's also connected to the concept of lucid dreaming. You have some type of control or control over your lucid dreams. But let me go over the chapters, give you the chapter names, and then I'll tell you about my instance. I'll end on my instance in which a dream kind of manifested itself. But like I mentioned, there's 12 chapters. Chapter 1, what's your why? And from my recollection, that discusses your why for wanting to do dream work and gain more knowledge about dreams and be more intentional and practical with your dreams. Chapter 2 is called Emotions, Instincts in All of Your Dreams. Chapter 3, the symbolic language of dream interpretation. So that goes into the symbolism that I was just mentioning. And as a matter of fact, I'll give an example of the symbolism before I move on to the other chapters. So, for example, let's see the one about the pool. All right, so I'm on the page about, so the author had a dream about a jaguar, like the animal, and about this jaguar being in the car with her, actually inside the car with her. So since it's a dream and since dreams are symbolic, the jaguar wasn't a literal jaguar in her waking life. The jaguar represented a concept or a situation within her waking life. So she mentions in here that in many ancient cultures, the jaguar is a symbol of power associated with healing and shamanic initiation. So she thought about what her dealings with power were in her waking life, and she connected it to a situation in which she was considering whether she wanted to re-enroll into a university program. And also her experience working with a shamanic guide as well. So clearly a four-legged animal didn't appear in her life, but looking into the representations and the symbology and the symbolism of the jaguar, and then she also tells a story about a pool and what the water represent. She demonstrates how dreams are symbolic. So that's chapter 3. Chapter 4 is taking action on the guidance of your dream themes and symbols. Chapter 5 is traversing common symbolic dreamscapes. Chapter 6 is opening up your dream figures. Chapter 7 is called liminal space between being awake and asleep. 8, the deliberate dreamer. So that touches on what I was mentioning earlier about manipulating your dreams and setting intentions before you go to sleep so you can choose what you want to dream about. Chapter 9, I'm lucid. Now what? Chapter 10, manifesting in your waking life with the power of your lucid dreams. Chapter 11, soul guided. And chapter 12, a powerful dreamer dreams for all. So those are the chapter titles. And I will end off my conversations by telling you about one of the dreams I had.
Okay.
And, oh my goodness. So I had in my dream, it was specific, but it didn't play out exactly how it happened in my dream, right? So I had this dream a few years ago. It could have been before I read this book, might have been after, but the event definitely happened after I read the book. So I had this dream that my car got stolen from Monmouth Mall in Eatontown, New Jersey. It was a specific place, right? So I had this dream. I remember actually seeing the people who stole my car, seeing them actually in the action. Like I saw them like drive away, like pulling out, hightailing it. So that was the dream. And I had a dream again, I think, but in a different place. So that was at Monmouth Mall. I think I had a dream again that my car got stolen in downtown Red Bank, New Jersey. It was parked on the street and somebody stole it and they peeled around the corner, right? So that happened in my dream life. I didn't know what it meant. I didn't know if it meant that someone was going to steal my car eventually, or what it was, or if I needed to be more cautious about my car, about my vehicle. But and I don't remember when I had these dreams, but I do remember when the event in my waking life happened. It happened in, think about the end of April, maybe around like April 20, it had to be around like the 27th. I don't know if it was on April 27th, but it had to be around that time because I was getting ready to I live in North Jersey. I was getting ready to go down to Central Jersey to visit my parents. It was my father's birthday weekend. So my father's birthday is April 27th. So I know it was around that time. And I I go outside. You know, I go to my parking lot. I live in an apartment building, so I go to my parking lot at my apartment building, and my car is gone.
No.
It's gone, you know. So I'm calling the parking people, because our parking lot is managed by an outside company. It's not managed by the building. So I'm calling them. I'm calling I'm calling to see if they towed my car. They were closed on well, they weren't closed on Saturday, but I think they were closed by the time this was like later in the afternoon. So they were closed by the time I tried to call them. And then I called the police after and be like, all right, did somebody tow my car? But, you know, sometimes they in these parking lots, they monitor the parking lots to see if anyone is parked there that's not supposed to be parked there. You know, so I'm like, okay, maybe they towed my car by accident. And but I called the police. You know, I told them I try to call the company that manages the parking lot. And then, you know, they asked me the questions. They like, you know, did you have any payments on it? So they asked me if the repo people came and got it. I'm like, no, it's actually paid off. I don't owe any payments on it. I paid the car off back in June of 2020, right? So it wasn't that. So they're like, all right, we'll send an officer out there. So I'm like, yeah, it got to be stolen because nobody came and towed it. So yeah, that was it. My car got stolen in my waking life, but it didn't happen in the places that I dreamed about. Like I said, I dreamed that it happened at the mall. I dreamed that it happened in this downtown area. It happened in a complete different place. And but yeah, that was one example of a dream that you know, it happened when I was asleep, and then it manifested itself in my waking life. You know, but they eventually found the car. What happened was the people that stole it, they crashed it. They crashed it, and then I guess they jumped out and ran away because they weren't able to drive it anymore. The car was totaled, you know, so they weren't able to drive it anywhere. But yeah, they found it, so it was indeed stolen.
Now, where they found it at, was it near either of the places you saw in your dream?
No,
okay.
No, it wasn't too far from where I live, where they stole it from.
That's crazy. Was that the first time or only time you've ever had a dream and then it kind of manifests in real life?
Maybe not. I mean that's the example that I can think of at the moment. I can't think of any others at the moment, but I'm sure it's happened before.
Wow. Well, you know, first of all, let me just say, the universe be universing is all I can say. I don't need to be convinced anymore that that everything happens the way it's supposed to. And you talking about this dream book today is just so on point and so just right there with what I'm bringing today. So it's crazy because I'm starting my opening about a dream, but but what I was gonna say is that I find it interesting also that she shows you these different kind of dreamers that you didn't even know there were. For example, my brother was an intentional dreamer. Like if you came to him and you were having a problem and you told him about it, he would sit there, he would think about it, da 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 da. He'd lay down and go to sleep, wake up with some answers. It was crazy. It was crazy that he was able to do it, but he couldn't interpret his own dreams.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So when he would have a dream, he would come and he would tell me about it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So what did Queen Rashi say?
Oh, she said, yeah, definitely seems interesting and worth reading. And she says, she's here for choosing what you dream about. Definitely seems like a good book with tips. Yeah, it's definitely a good book.
Absolutely. You know, being intentional is so important, you know, and I can definitely see in this case where you're dealing with something like dreams that you know, you be intentional, especially if you seeking answers for something. It would be a really cool tool to add to your toolbox. So what was your biggest, besides what you shared with us already, what was some of the biggest like takeaways for you, like besides the, you know, the fact that you said there are actual steps and a guide to kind of help you through, what thing surprised you and what thing did you already know intuitively?
I guess it was confirmation to learn that or rediscover that the dream life is a reflection of the waking life. So that's one right there. That was great confirmation there. But the one that I kind of already mentioned probably be the symbolism, and also the, you know, being intentional about what you dream, because I, you know, for a while, long time, I didn't think I had much control over what I could dream about. Like, actually, all right. And then this is the way that she does it. From what I remember, is when you're in that stage, when you're starting to drift off to sleep, that's when you make the statement like, tonight I will dream about traveling to Zanzibar. I ain't going to dream about this. And then you kind of let that sink into your subconscious mind as you're drifting off to sleep. And that's pretty much how you do it. I mean, I'm oversimplifying it, but in a nutshell, that's how you do it. So that was one thing that definitely surprised me, was that you could actually do that. And she tells you how you can do that. And then, like I said about the symbolism of that was a game changer in terms of dream interpretation. So if you're having these strange dreams, and with these strange objects and places and animals and things like that, you're wondering like, what does all this mean? By looking into what these objects symbolize, that is a starting point for helping yourself interpret your dreams. So the author, she has this service where she interprets dreams for people, but she gives you the beginning steps to interpreting dreams for yourself by thinking about these objects and what they might symbolize.
Right. And that is very key, because, you know, we are trained to be such a literal people. And so, you know, it's like, I dreamed about a dog, so a dog must be about to come, you know. So, but dogs can mean betrayal. They can mean loyalty at the same time. So was the dog barking? Was the dog big? Was the dog small? Was the dog, what color was the dog? What kind of dog was it? You know what I mean? All of these things at some point become tools will help us narrow down to kind of, you know, better help us understand, you know, what our dream was about. And sometimes it's just what those things mean to us. What do we think of when we see a dog? Are we afraid of dogs? So maybe it's a fear issue. Do we love dogs? Maybe it's running towards some affection or something. So I think that's fantastic. You know, I actually chuckled a little bit when you mention the dreams because it brought me to a thought of numerology and my dad and them having those dream books, and they would always ask us, "What's your dream?" And then you tell them what your dream, and they go look up the number, and then they go play the picket for the number. You know what I mean? So that goes right back into that, work that C. Freeman Ill and some of the other masters have taught us about using, our numbers and our dreams in order to, further us along sometimes financially. So I thought that was great, but dreams are fascinating. And my youngest two children, back when they were in high school, they had got introduced to lucid dreaming, and they were doing it together. They were doing it together, like where they could, dream and visit and make all these things. So I just think it's an amazing thing, and I can only imagine it helps you if you already have a great imagination. It allows you a space to use it in, but if you don't, it allows you a space to develop it in. So kudos. I love it. I love it.
Indeed. Yep. Yeah. So again, put it back up on the screen, and then that's all I have for my offering.
Okay, we got anybody talking up in them comments? Anybody got anything to share about dreams? If not, I'll be glad to get started with my
the queen just co-sign or agree with just confirm what I said about the dreams never playing out exactly how they happen. I wonder what that's about.
Right.
That's something interesting.
It is definitely, sometimes I wonder if it's just to bring our attention to stuff,
Right. Yeah, that's probably it. Like the example I gave with my scenario, that the location where it happened probably didn't matter. It was probably more like a cautionary message to to be more careful. Make sure your car is secure, make sure your doors are locked, because they weren't when it happened. So yeah.
Yo, I was gonna say that's like my I never lock my doors. My door be like, "What is you doing?" It says, who is this? Creative TV, Space TV.
Yep.
Professor
Monica.
It is all my dreams been very realistic as well. Hey, listen. Some of them dreams, they just, I love it. Well, Nick, we have done it again. You're offering the Alchemy of Dreams by Athena Laz. That's a banger. I don't have that one, so on my list. Most High willing, on my list. And again, Nick, we've done it. We've mind melded, and we brought similar work that works together. I am over here bugging, like I was like, you know what? This is no longer coincidences. It's been 2 years. We done gave up on coincidences. We know it's not. So my offering this week is it's a red. It's a partially red, because for some of y'all that follow us, a lot of my books sometimes be reference books or books that I take parts of for some of the work that I do. I work retreats. I set up retreats and personal development, professional development spaces for people. So a lot of the books that I have, sometimes I'll pull references or things from that to be able to further along those programs. So this book was one of those books. I saw it. I was getting a bunch of books on the same topic. So I tried to be a little diverse, pulling from different authors. I didn't want books that all said the same thing. I wanted people's individual opinions. So, you know, I pulled from some that were for, some that were for, some that were against, some that were skeptical, and I pulled all these books out, and this is one of them, and it's become one of my favorites, and it's actually one that I'll be doing a small live talk about some of the individual parts and steps in this, because it's important for everybody. So my book this week is Quest, a guide for creating your own vision quest, by Denise Linn.
Okay. I'm gonna get that so I can put it in the banner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Quest, a guide for creating your own vision quest, Denise Linn, author of A Sacred Space. And how our book is tied is it talks about dreams as a form of doing a vision quest. And I just find it fascinating that we decided to bring this today. So I was going to open by saying I don't dream a lot, you know, that I can remember. And when I do dream and I remember only parts and pieces, and you know, and for those who know me, they know I could be very silly. So sometimes my dreams are very reflective and show me silly stuff, but it be serious. So last night I had one of these dreams that actually made me think about it when I rose, and it was I was in this space with all these other people, and there was food like everywhere, like a smorgasbord of food, right? And they were in these beautiful bowls and everything like that. And it was like you know how when you go to a concert and they have smoke on the stage, it was like smoke on the floor, but you know, like it was surrounding the food, so the food looked all mysterious and delicious. And I got the feeling I was in a restaurant that was doing a grand opening. That was the words that kind of resonated in the back of my mind, like, oh, this is the grand opening. They being new again. So I'm looking at the food and everything, and I noticed that there were little signs by the food to tell you what they were. Mm-hmm. But none of the food said the thing that the food looked like. So if you had chicken, if you saw some chicken, they had renamed it like something else. And you saw, you know, macaroni, they renamed it something else. So I'm like, what is going on, right? So all of a sudden, people just started rushing for food, and the food was just floating all over. Now, so, I'm gonna be honest, I might have been a little hungry because I didn't eat before I went to bed, but this dream is just like, and it's making me giggle because I'm watching people go for this food and they don't know what it is, but they do know what it is, but they don't. And I remember thinking to myself, everything old is new again. You know, and I thought about reopening. So when I rose, that was the thought that I rose with. When I opened my eyes, I was like, wow, everything is new again. You can take things, you can rename it, you can revisit it, you can transform it and make it new and make it float and make it be all these things, right? So I was feeling rather philosophical and I guess a little hungry. So, but it confirmed for me that the book that I wanted to bring this week was definitely relevant, because one of the things that Miss Linn talks about in here are your dreams and their importance in the quest for a vision quest. So why this book? So before I do all that, let me just let you know this book was done in 1997. I got the book around 2000. And the reason I remember that is because, like I said, I was working on a very specific project at the time. Let's see what it has to say here. It says, for centuries, ancient cultures embarked upon rites of passage to gain entrance to the spiritual realms and reach self-knowledge. These extraordinary mystical odysseys into nature provided insight, healing, and life direction. They were very powerful acts that could change a person forever. With the passing of time, this ancient rite has almost been lost. Therefore, very few people truly understand what forces motivate their life and shape their destiny. International lecturer and healer Denise Linn draws on her Native American roots as well as teachings of other cultures to create an eclectic but very carefully crafted spiritual program for anyone wishing to venture on their own retreat. After helping you choose the quest that is right for you, from a group of quests in the wilderness to a day of silence at home, from a personal guided quest to a solitary garden quest, this practical and engaging book will show you how to discover your life's purpose, find mystery and wonder at the core of your life, releasing limited beliefs about yourself, a call for vision, harnessing your power of the sacred circle, confronting and freeing yourself from fears, experience and connection to your nature, heal emotional wounds, and develop a peace of mind. This guidebook gives you the very necessary tools to create your own vision quest with confidence and safety. So, I thank you for allowing me to read that to you, because that's what made me choose this book. We had been having a discussion about guided meditations and guided vision quests, and how our lost connection to culture has not afforded us these rites of passages that many of us would have had when we were young teenagers at some point, um, to help us along our way. As it says, look at your purpose, much like you said, your why, and all these different things. So that was the reason I chose this particular book, because what she does here, like unlike some of the other Vision Quest books, is while she'll give you a structure you can follow, she teaches you how to create your own, and the importance in creating your own, and the importance in understanding the symbology, the tools and things that you use to create in the space of your vision quest. So the book is, it's fascinating. It has let me see, 7 chapters, very short, notes, further information with some references, and an index, 255 pages. As it says, she has a native background. One of like I said, one of the reasons I picked this was because I'm very much about creating my own thing. And no disrespect to her or any of the other people working in this space, but sometimes I find it challenging to relate to people who, while they may identify, with some of the cultural and, ethnical things that, that I hold in myself and envision myself as, it's difficult to take information from them sometimes, because, a lot of times, our own information is regurgitated to us, watered down to us, and further shows the disconnect that many of us have from the land and from our natural way and our natural culture. So sometimes it's hard for me to receive some of that information from people who were part of the stripping of that in the first place. So that's just my own personal thing. As they say, this opinion is not that of UnRead. It is it is Roo's. I just, so creating my own space and finding my own way to connect in Vision Quest was very important to me, especially at that time. So again, she does give some structure in here about the different type of Vision Quest, and under she talks about guided quest, support group quest, independent quest, alternative quest, garden quest, indoor quest, days of silence, and pilgrimage. I have done several kind of quests along my journey. And I can't say that one works better than another. What I will say is that each has offered me something of value that I was able to bring back and use to deepen my connection with myself, with nature, and with my goals. And so it's very important that we realize that while we think of a vision quest, if you ask people mostly what they think of a vision quest, they'll tell you like a TP and a peace pipe and some hallucinations and howling at the moon and all these things. And they can be that, but that's not always what it is. And if you're not doing that, it doesn't mean that you're not having a successful quest to venture in and to find out more about yourself. So she talks about the different steps, like I said, the different forms of things, and she goes into the steps of a pilgrimage because vision quests usually are done staying in one place, but pilgrimage are actually walking vision quests or traveling vision quests. So she goes a little bit more into what that requires, and even gives a checklist of things that you should bring with you on a pilgrimage quest. I'm gonna mention this and then I will stop for a second and take any questions. Much like many things that you do that will set you up for that, the best inner lessons that you can have, there's a preparation time. So before anybody that's done a vision quest, and if you've done a vision quest and you're in the and you're watching right now, or even if you watch later, share your vision quest experience with us. For some people that have had vision quests, they go into the vision quest like right away. But for a lot of people, what they do is prep. It's much like fasting, so there's an aspect of that. There's a lot of introspection and intention setting, things you want to let go. All these things you kind of sit down with and shape and mold before you begin these vision quests. And she does have a section in here where she gives you 30 days of activities that you can do to prepare yourself for a quest. So days 1 through 7, she's working with the air element, your mental self. From days 8 to 14, water, your emotional self. Days 15 to 21, fire, your spiritual self. And days 22 to 28, your physical self. And for those of you who understand, I said 28 days, and this is because it follows the path of the moon. And she does give some suggestions, and again, they are suggestions on what phase of the moon you can start in. And she does even give a little bit of detail of the different kind of results you can get depending on if you start on a full moon, a new moon, a crescent moon, a waxing moon. And I thought that was pretty interesting. So I'll stop right here right now. And again, this is Quest, a guide for creating your own vision quest. Denise Linn. Okay. Beautiful picture there. I love that.
Yes, yes, the forest and the trees there.
Absolutely, like absolutely, absolutely. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we resume the conversation. So Nick, have you ever done a vision quest before?
I don't think so. Not by that name, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the concept.
Oh, okay. That's, well, you know what? That's great. And I'm glad that I was able to bring something that you haven't tried yet, because it's in one of those, you know, in knowing you, you know, the years that I have, one of the things we have in common is we are always looking for ways to refine ourselves, you know, be a better version of ourselves. And this is just another great tool for our bag to be able to, you know, have something else to help us to get to know ourselves better, which in turn helps us heal ourselves, and also helps us to do, you know, our duty of uplifting fallen humanity by example. You know what I mean? So I really do appreciate being able to come across this, and this being one of the topics that I actually really truly love to talk about, because this is what I do in my work professionally and privately, is setting up retreats and spaces and sacred spaces for people to be able to do this kind of work.
Yeah, I definitely have to make sure I follow up and tune in and tap into that extended build that you do on this work whenever you do that live, because I'm definitely intrigued and want to learn more about this.
Absolutely. I'll be glad to make sure I share all of that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Mm-hmm.
Space TV said she's thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yes, thank you.
As
Thank you.
well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Make sure you come back. Make sure you come back.
Yep.
But
So that's all we have in the chat. So if you want to keep rocking and tell us some more about you know, get into the book cover and the other details you wanted to share, go on right ahead. Go for
absolutely,
it.
absolutely. You know, I love, like I said, I love this because she does give some examples of what it can look like, excuse me, to go out in nature and do these things. So tapping into her Native American side, she leans towards that culture's you know, ritual of, or their process of doing a vision quest, which is usually a person going out in nature alone, you know, or in a group, depending on which type of quest they decide to create, and staying out there for up to 4 days, with no, you know, no cell phones, no TVs, no radios. Usually people take an instrument, or, you know, something like that, but for no electronics, right? So you go out, you have a space. So in the places where she's been, they have spaces already designated for this. So it's not like they're going out into the wild, into some place they don't know. They know the environment, they know the type of animals that's out there. They, you know, they have it pretty much set up for people to go to this particular area and do their vision quest. If someone was creating their own vision quest, they would have to find a location for themselves to be able to go out and do a vision quest in nature. Now, vision quests don't always have to be 4 days. They can be one day up to, you know, 4 days for overnight. But even a 3 or 5 hours, something where you can go and spend that sacred space out in nature in some kind of way. It counts as a vision quest, because who can tell you what your vision quest look like? Again, creating your own rituals and things that help you to be able to tap into yourself. But for those who want to do a true quest, usually they're overnight and they're usually in a secure location. You know, if you're in nature, it can only be but so secure. She actually shares a story in here about a couple of women who went out to do a quest together, and she heard an animal walking around, and the animal circled her and then laid down in a ball like 2 feet from them. Come to find out, it was a raccoon. Now, I know raccoons. I probably wouldn't have stayed, but that's just me, you know. But again, she is the fact that the raccoon didn't bother her and it didn't bother them. They took that as a sign, something symbolic, you know, of this raccoon, because again, much like everything in nature, it has symbology to it. And so it goes back to your book talking about symbology. And so while we're there, I wanted to go over and share this with you. And I think that you'll really enjoy it. So she talks about going on a journey in your imagination and visualizing your totem. And, you know, like say, for example, you keep seeing cardinals while you're out there, or blue jays, or whatever animal comes to mind. But on the very first page where she talks about animals, she talks about cougars, mountain lions, right? And she even has leopards. She doesn't have a jaguar per se, but she calls it a panther. And it says panthers represent intuition and inner power. So her driver, the person that was her co-pilot, was her intuition and her power. How amazing is that, right? And the cougar, for those who want to know, the cougar and the mountain lion, they represent silent power and self-confidence. Riding, can you imagine riding next to your self-confidence? Like, I'm in there, like, this is me, you know? So I wanted to go to the raccoon, because raccoon, that, you know, that raccoon curled up around that lady, it says adaptation, creativity, and dexterity. So that raccoon that came to be with them, that was a lesson or a symbol that could have represented in their journey. So they can ask their question something like, how does adaptation, creativity, and dexterity look in my life? You know, so this could be a question that they can, you know, ponder while they're continuing on their journey there in the quest, or something they can take back with them to further their practice in their journey when they go back home. So I thought that was really funny, and again, showing you how we tie our books together even when we don't try. Even when we don't try. They even have an area in here about insects and spiders, butterflies, snakes, storks. I was gonna ask, you know, if anybody remembered when we were young, if any of the elders heard you say somebody dreamed about fish, first thing they said, somebody pregnant. Somebody pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody pregnant. Now I know somebody in the comments know that one. Oh my goodness, that's one of the most famous ones. You see a fish in a dream, everybody is scared to death. You know what I'm saying? I love this one, which, you know, some of these things that you would see on a dream or in a vision quest almost seem like it's like, duh, of course that's what it means. For example, you see an owl, it talks about wisdom and being a visionary. But what people also don't know, it talks about being in the divine feminine energies and ancient secrets. You know what I mean? But you figure ancient secrets would go with wisdom in that collection of knowledge over years. So peacocks and hummingbirds, I just really think this is a great little addition to her book. And I actually wish that she would have went a little bit further with that, but she would have been here all day. She would have been there all day because it can mean so many things. Even culturally, if you see a dog, you know, in one culture that can mean one thing and in another something else. So even tribe to tribe. So one of the other things that exercises that she has is your relationship to your self-identification. This was one of the things that stood out to me. She gives a story of these five blind men, and they're trying to identify what this elephant looks like. Somebody asked them, what did the elephant look like? It says, when asked to describe an elephant, the first blind man reached out and felt a leg and said, oh, I know what an elephant is like. It is exactly like a tree trunk. The second man felt the tail and said, no, you're wrong. An elephant is exactly like a rope. The third blind man touched an ear and said, an elephant isn't a tree trunk or a rope. It's like a lotus leaf. And the fourth blind man touched the tusk and said, oh, friends, you are mistaken. An elephant is made of bone. And then the fifth man touched the trunk and said, everyone is wrong. I've touched the elephant and it's just like a snake. All the men were right. And yet what they experienced was only a part of the whole. We all have different identities we take on at different times in life, and they are only part of the whole. Sometimes we identify with our bodies. Sometimes we identify with our possessions. Sometimes we identify with our family. A man who runs into a burning building to save jewels is identifying more strongly with his material goods than with his body. One who has lots of cosmic surgery is also identifying with the self and the body. To begin to loosen your hold on your identity that it has on you, you must examine it. Who are you? And you know, Nick, on this channel here, on this platform here, and on others, one of the things we are constantly doing is asking that question. And so in her next section, she gives some more things about relationships and parents, action needed to be taken in your life. And then she gives you a bunch of great questions that you can use to begin to, like you said, get intentional about not only what you, this is not about the dreaming, but it's about the quest and what they want to accomplish during this vision quest. So again, usually it's said not to take things like electronics and stuff like that, but I know a lot of people now with their technology, they have guided meditations and bells and all kinds of things on their phone. But what I would tell people is, remember, one of the very first instruments, the first instrument is you. So, you know, getting in tune, if anything, a drum or a flute, you know, some type of instrument that, you know, maybe you can use a guitar, you know, two rocks together, you know what I mean? It just whatever, you know, a rock and a stick. And, you know, we are very creative, and our ancestors definitely passed that down to us in our DNA. Look at how creative our young people are. And finally, one of the things that I wanted to point out in this book that made this book one that I chose over another or others is the section that she has in here, section 6, the vision quest for teenagers. she says something that we say all the time. We've come so far from our culture in so many ways that we don't do a lot of the things we used to. They talk about the importance of rites of passage, and that's something that, you know, again, now we're trying to do a better job about, you know, being intentional about creating these rites of passage, you know, spaces. But when you look at what's going on in the world right now, you can see where a lot of that would be really beneficial. But in this quest, what I thought was important was this right here. It says these are some of the reasons why it's valuable for modern teenagers to spend time alone in nature on a solo quest. They learn to be alone with their self. They learn to evaluate their role in society. They learn to feel a sense of independence, gaining inner peace, overcoming your fears, learning the value of solitude, truly experiencing nature, having time away from the clock and commitments, getting to know yourself better. It says most teenagers are not accustomed to being alone. And you know, the part that stuck out to me was evaluating your role in society. She talked about before, you know, how we see ourselves. I truly am of the thought that if these children saw with different eyes the way that they behave in the streets, they would be ashamed of themselves. But that will only come from them having a idea of one, who and what they want to be and how they want to show up in society. In a vision quest, a rite of passage, we know that these things are taking us from childhood into manhood and womanhood and helping us to decide what kind of people we want to be. And so it's very intentional, much like with the dreaming, much like going in here with these vision quests. Being intentional is everything. And you know, not having our youth involved in things that will help them to better understand themselves. And what place can you better learn to do that but in nature? You know, when I was young, I was a Girl Scout. My brothers were Boy Scouts. We went out in nature. And the other reason I wanted to bring this book, because now, like I mentioned, the children are out of school. People are spending time hiking and going into the park. It would be a great time to dedicate a couple of hours to just sitting in nature and paying attention and hearing what comes to you and letting go of things in nature. We know it's very grounding to be in nature, very calm, you know, no plugs, no outlets. You know what I mean? So, you know, I thought this book was it was timely because, you know, we just had the solstice. We have these beautiful long days. If we could get it to stop raining for a little bit, you know, get out there in the parks. You know, you don't have to go in, you know, to the most remote part of the woods, but it's nice to just go someplace where you won't be interrupted and you can just sit for a moment and have some time. And you know, they talk about the forest here, but you can do a vision quest anywhere in the mountains, by the beach. I personally, the beach, and I live in the mountains, so you know, and by a forest. So I'm pretty good. You know, the only in the other place, one of my favorites, the desert. Anybody that knows me know I love Arizona. Shout out Arizona, New Mexico. Boop, 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 boop. Anyway, New Mexico. But But yeah, so you don't have to get locked into this. I have to do a vision quest this way or that way. Miss Linn reminds us that creating a quest is personal, it's intentional. Anyone can do it. It can be done anywhere. Like I said, she talks about doing one right in your house, right when if on your patio or your deck, or in your local park. So again, this is a book that I would recommend. I would definitely recommend it. And for those of you who want to spend a little more time with me in this book as I talk about it, I'll be going live. I'll let you know about when that's going to be, most high willing, and we'll be able to talk a little bit more about it. I'll be able to share some deeper information and take any questions. And again, they did talk about doing group quests. So maybe, at some point, some of you will get together and do some vision quests together. So I would love to see that. If you do, please let us know, and let us know how it worked out for you, and what kind of things you were able to discover. So I don't know. Do we have any comments over there, Nick? What you got to say about all of this stuff?
Hey, listen, I will be a part of that group that will be taking a deeper dive into creating the vision quest, because like I said, this is something that I wasn't familiar with. And look, just like you, Creative Space TV, I'm gonna do the quests. Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, I definitely want to do a quest as well. Yep. And just in general about today's offerings, she also said, you don't know how much you just helped me.
I love that.
both
I love
of
that.
us.
Thank
So,
you. Thank you.
yes. So that, that's that's what we set out to do. We
Yes.
set out to be entertaining, but also informative too. To be informative, entertaining, and inspiring.
Absolutely. And be a resource for our community, just to really be a resource. There are so many books and things out there, and not even to mention all the things that come up when you Google anything. So I think it's nice when you have someone and you trust, or that you can go to trust, to offer you some things that have worked for them, that they've studied and vetted, and would recommend to someone to get into a topic or to revisit a topic. I tell you like this: if it's in my library, it's something in it. You know what I mean? It's something in it. I don't care if it's one line, one passage, it's something in it. And I would never recommend a book to anyone that I wouldn't have myself. We talked about this before, Nick, about feeling like sometimes some books is not meant to be shared.
Right.
Some books is a little grown for us. And I've been on this path for a long time. And if I say it's books that's too grown for me, I would never try to share them, because is people are too easily swayed. And that's another reason why those guided meditation and these guided quests and all that stuff like that was always a little uncomfortable for me, because you're creating a vision for me. And I've already had that my whole life. They created the version of our lives that's not even real. So when do I get to create what I want to see? And that's why the intentional part about that dreaming and the intentional part about the quest is so important to me, because if I got to go out, I want to go out on my own stuff. Let me be the blame for sending myself down whatever path. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I'm not gonna have somebody, that may or may not understand some of the very small nuances that make us so different, that make what we doing different. Some people that get to still identify with the land and that always were able to identify with the land, they had an experience that we didn't have. We were stripped away from our heritage and our culture and all these things. So when we start to do this kind of work, it make us feel a way. Because I don't know about you, but when I was a young person, I could have used this kind of guidance. You know what I mean? For not only for self-healing, but self-confidence, self-esteem, reminders of the greatness that lie in front of me and in me. Like, knowing our strong connection to the land. I'm fortunate. I've always been drawn to my trees. Everybody know I love my trees. And, I've always been drawn to nature. But if I would have had something like this, but I did have my Nana and my mommy and my titis, and they reminded us that we were women of the land, stewards of the land. And so because of that, books that talk about going out in nature and allowing nature to be able to help you to tap into that inner space that is land, because it's all land in there. Create anything you want in there, those kind of books are always going to stand out to me. So shout out to Denise, Linn. Like I said, we'll be doing a deep dive in this book. If you're interested, please go over to Mawulisatemple 1 on Instagram and hit the DMs and just put quest in the box. Put quest in there. And Nick, if you could put that up at some point, even in the description down low or something, just go over there to Instagram, Mawulisatemple 1, and put quest in the box, and I'll be sure to update you of the dates and location of the online talks about this book quest. So that's my offering for this week. That is my offering, and they were tied together, Nick. We did it again. Yep. We are a superpower. We are a superpower. Come on now, we gotta claim it.
Yep, we do. Yep, we're on that. We're on that, that telepathy, that synchronicity, all of it.
All of it. I wanna also tie in, if I may, another reason this book appealed to me right now was because we are in Cancer time, and this is a time of nurturing. You know what I'm saying? And self-care and vision quests are a part of self-care. Even getting in touch with your dreams is a part of self-care. People always think of self-care as superficial things. Nah, sometimes it's that inner landscape work that's the most nurturing that you can have, really leaning into yourself and being intentional about yourself. I was just telling my accountability sister that I've been being more intentional about being intentional about me. You know what I mean? Good. Which is something that I was challenged with for over 50 years of my life. But look at me now. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Starting to get out. It only took, half 100 years plus some, but it's okay. I got it.
Yeah, better late than never.
Look, listen, I'm not quitting, and I'm having a blast while doing it. The self-discovery, people, this is what it is. Not all those distractions out there. Learning about yourself, you're gonna learn some phenomenal stuff. You're gonna be like, wow, I am awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like that time alone to be able to really get to know you and not what people have created for you. The versions of you that they created. Oh, you're a student. Oh, you're a this. Oh, you're a that. No, what am I? What am I? And why am I here? And what am I doing? And how am I going to do it? So I love it. Dreams and vision quests all day long.
I love it.
Yes.
Yep, I'm making sure the folks have that information for for your live when it comes up. Putting it in the description right now.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for everyone that joined us again. UnRead with Nick and Roo every 2 weeks. We are here bringing with you some of our favorite books, unread books on our shelves, rereads, recommendations, and authors. And we are here for it. We are here for it, y'all. If you got something to do with books, we here for it. You know?
That's right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And you know what? I can't leave Surprise Me Week without another little surprise, especially since it's been going so great. Like this has been a great Saturday for me. Like this is a great episode. I'm loving this, right?
Yes, yes.
So, in the spirit of surprise, right? I would like to share, drum roll, with Nick and our viewers for the very first time live here today, the first piece of merch for UnRead Books.
Oh.
Bam, bam, bam. Bookmarks in the building.
Oh, hold up.
Hey. Bookmarks in the building. UnRead with Nick and Roo. We are there. And let me let you know, I got all colors. I got all shapes and sizes. We got them with ribbons and no ribbons and buttons and beads and sparkles. Yes, we have bookmarks.
Wow.
We have bookmarks, people. We will put in the link where you can get yourself some bookmarks. And let me let you know, fun. The first merch on today. And guess what, y'all? It was a surprise for Nick, too.
Yeah, exactly.
So, nice, thick bookmarks. Laminated, beautiful, and like I said, the other ones, all kinds of shapes, sizes, designs, ribbons, and bows. Anybody that know me know I'm a creative, so they are there.
Wow! What a surprise me episode this has been.
Yes, gotta get you some. Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and we even have some for children. Because I got all them grandbabies. Come on now. What I look like not making some for the babies.
Oh, yeah. It's only right.
So I'm excited. We'll release them as they come along. But don't sleep. First merch. Bookmarks from UnRead.
Yeah, I gotta give me one of those too. And you say you got ones with ribbons on them? Yeah.
Yes.
I'm about to give me one of the ones with the ribbons on it.
Listen, ribbons and bells, all kinds of things.
Yeah, give me the fanciest. Yeah, I'll take the fanciest that we got the offer.
Oh, it's some fancy ones coming, so I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much. Yes, our first piece of merch. Yep.
Wow.
How can we be book lovers without bookmarks? What's up? It only made sense. It only made sense.
Gotta have those. Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be able to bring them. And all proceeds that come to Mawulisatemple will go towards what they always do, which is community projects in allowing people to be able to come out without having to spend any money. So you know where y'all money go, folks. People that know about the temple. And if you don't know about Mawulisatemple, come on over. Have some fun. Talk with us. Find out what we're about. In the description, I know Nick does give a little bit about our background, but we are definitely always doing things in the community. Glad to always be a resource for help. We have ear-to-ear programs, blanket programs for newborn mothers, all kinds of things like that. So always check us out and see what we got going on. See if it's something we can do for you. But that's it for me now. I'm done. I'm finished.
Oh, listen. I mean, the book was already was already something, and then you came with the second surprise with the merch. Listen, I don't know if I could take any more from you, any more surprises for you today. Goodness.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Oh, but just think, we got more surprise me's later on.
yeah. You got to tie some cement blocks to my ankles now. Goodness.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so glad to be able to bring something, not only cute and fun, but useful.
Oh yeah.
I'm about that functional stuff, practical. Let's use it. Let's
Oh yeah.
use it.
You an Aquarius. You wouldn't have it any other way.
Hey. Well, I've had a great time today, Nick.
Yeah,
Like I said,
too.
that's all from me. Thank you, everyone, for coming and hanging out with us. For those your first time here, welcome. Please subscribe to this page and to MaWu Lisa 4610. Over there, you get some of our updates. Make sure you hit that bell. Share this information with others. Look, share your books with us and your thoughts and comments. We always appreciate that. And now you'll be able to get some merch from us too. We look forward to spending more time with you. So I'm your sister Roo, and that's Nick. Nick, you take us on out of here.
Yes. Yep. Thank you for joining us for the last show of June. Next time you see us will be in the new month of July 12th. It's the next episode, the next airing. So we look forward to you joining us for like I said, in the next month, and we'll see you then. So take care, be well, continue striving to become the best version of yourself, because that's what we were talking about today with dreams, with creating your quest. It's all a part of that self-development and building up your temple and becoming the best you and not someone else.
Yes.
So we are out.
Peace.
Peace.